Dearest gentle listener, what would you do if your womb refused to rest? If every month your body cried out, not for love, not for pleasure, but to bring life into the world, again and again, whether you wanted it or not. This is the story of one woman, a real woman, married off at the age of 12, with a condition that made her ovulate more than once a month. A woman who gave birth to 55 children. Her name is Halima. And what happened after child number 55 shocked the world. Sit tight, hold your heart. This story, my dear listener, will stay with you forever. Once upon a time, in the warm, dusty heart of Kano State, where the harmattan wears the air like a second skin, there lived a little girl named Halima. She was only 10 years old, but she already moved with the grace of a grown woman. When she walked through the narrow clay paths of Tudan Wada, with her small calabash balanced on her head, people would pause and whisper, "That one will grow fast." She get wife material inside her eyes. She didn't know what they meant. She just wanted to play Sue with her friends. Halima was the last born in a family of 7. Her father, Malam Idris, was a respected Quran teacher. He loved his daughters, but he loved his pride more. Her mother, Eni Falmata, was the quiet, obedient type, gentle and submissive, as they said a wife should be. They were not rich, they were not poor, but one thing they held onto tightly was tradition. And in their tradition, once a girl begins to develop hips, even just the shadow of it, she is seen by men, seen by aunties, seen by the whispers of marriage. At 11, Halima had the biggest eyes in the village and the smoothest legs. An aunt once said she had wife written across her back. Still, Halima didn't care. She just wanted to braid her doll's hair and catch grasshoppers behind the mosque. But life, as you know, doesn't always wait for little girls to grow up. It happened after a wedding ceremony. Halima had danced the whole evening, barefoot on the sand, her silver anklets jingling like a tambourine. The entire compound watched her twirl in her blue wrapper, her laughter rising into the night like incense. The next morning, a man came knocking. His name was Abdurrashid, a 37-year-old spare parts trader from the city of Katsina. He had spotted her at the wedding and said, "That girl must be my wife." When her father laughed and said, "She's just a child," Abdurrashid replied, "That's why I want her. I will train her well. She will never suffer." And just like that, as simple as buying a goat, discussions began. They didn't ask Halima. They didn't even inform her until it was settled. One night, she came home from the stream and saw a brand new box of clothes on her mat. Aunts were smiling. Uncles were laughing. Then her mother pulled her aside and whispered, "Halima, your husband is coming soon." Her legs began to shake. She was 12 years old. It was a Tuesday night when they took her away. Not forcefully. No, not with ropes, or shouting, or dragging. They used smiles, new wrappers, and a small white bowl filled with kunu and blessings. Halima sat quietly in the center of the room, surrounded by aunties, each one with busy hands, plaiting her hair, painting her feet with lolly, adjusting her wrapper like she was a toy for display. Nobody told her where they were taking her. Nobody told her why her eyes were heavy with tears that didn't understand themselves. Her mother sat in the corner, silently tying knots on her wrapper, too ashamed to meet her daughter's eyes, because deep down, she knew this wasn't right. But in a world where tradition stands taller than truth, what can a woman say? When the knock came on the door, Halima's heart jumped. Her father's voice echoed, "Bring her out. The groom's people are here." And that was it. No goodbye, no hug, no, "You can come back if you're scared." They wrapped her in a scarf, placed a gold necklace around her tiny neck, and walked her out like a lamb, going to decorate another man's ego. Abdulrashid was waiting in a small convoy outside, 3 bikes, 1 keek. His friends clapped and cheered as she stepped into the tricycle. "Alaya Kawasaki," they shouted. "She go born twins sharp sharp." Halima didn't smile. She didn't even cry. She just looked out of the keek's window as the moon followed them through the journey. And when they reached his compound, the music started. She was served food she couldn't eat, given gifts she didn't ask for. And when the crowd left, the door was locked from behind, and she was alone, with a man, old enough to be her father. Dear listener, there are some nights that stay in the body forever. That night, Halima's body stopped being hers. The wedding room smelled of incense and powdered perfume. The bed was stiff, The mosquito net had holes, and the curtain didn't close well. But what made her shiver wasn't the cold. It was him, Abdulrashid. He walked in with pride, like a man coming to claim a trophy. He didn't ask her how she felt, didn't offer a kind word, just unzipped his long kaftan and told her, "You are a woman now, and a woman must obey." She tried to run, tried to beg, but she was small, and he was tall. And so, with one careless motion, her childhood ended. And when he was done, he stood up and walked away, leaving her curled like a forgotten rag doll. She cried until morning. Nobody came. But guess what, my listener? 9 months later, at just 13, she gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. They wrapped them in white cloth and called them blessings. But Halima knew better. They were born from silence, from pain, and still, she smiled, because now she was a mother, and if she couldn't protect herself, she would protect them, or so she thought. Before she turned 20, Halima had already given birth 9 times, not because she wanted to, not because she even understood how it kept happening, but because her body would punish her if she didn't. By 15, the doctors found out she had hyperovulation. They told Abdulrashid, "Sir, your wife has a rare condition. Her body releases multiple eggs every cycle. If she doesn't get pregnant often, her hormones go crazy. She will fall ill, dangerously ill." But did he realize the danger? No. Instead, he clapped his hands and said, "Alhamdulillah, my wife is a fertile woman. We go fill this compound with children." And so, Halima's body became a baby factory. Each year, one or to birth, sometimes twins, sometimes sextuplets. By 24, she had 23 children, and not once did Abdulrashid change a diaper. Not once did he carry a sick child to the hospital. He would wake, eat, go to market, and return with more friends to say, "Look at what Allah has given me, a woman of fruit." But Halima, she was tired, her bones ached, her eyes stayed red, her womb was like a worn-out drum, yet she had no choice but to keep drumming. Because the moment she stopped, her body punished her, her stomach would twist, her sight would blur, her blood would run wild. She was trapped, a prisoner in her own skin. Dearest gentle listener, by the time Halima gave birth to her 50th child, something in her began to shift, not just in her bones or in her belly, but in her heart. Her body had stretched beyond reason, her skin sagged, her eyes dimmed, but still, she pressed on, because motherhood had become her identity, her only purpose, even though it was one she never chose. Abdulrashid, meanwhile, had grown quiet. He no longer brought home food. He no longer smiled when the babies cried. He no longer boasted in the mosque about his football team of children. Instead, he started sleeping outside. At first, it was excuses. Business trip to Kaduna, a burial in Zaria. My cousin is sick in Joe's. Then came the truth, slow, sharp, and shameful. One night, Halima sat with 2 babies strapped to her back, one on her chest, and one clinging to her wrapper. She hadn't eaten since morning. The kerosene in the stove had finished. Mosquitoes buzzed around her like gossipers. That was when her sister-in-law arrived, face pale, hands shaking. She couldn't even sit before she blurted, "Halima, please sit down. Abdulrashid has married another woman, a young girl," he said. "He said you're too fertile. Each time he lays with you, you get pregnant. He can't take it anymore. You are too much for him." Too much? Too much because she gave him 50 children? And pregnant with more. Halima sat there, not speaking, not moving, not breathing. Only one tear dropped. Just one. And it felt like it came from her soul. That night, her stomach twisted again. And 3 weeks later, she gave birth, again. This time, quintuplets. And Abdulrashid was nowhere to be found. Ah, my dear listener, you see, when a man leaves his family, society whispers. But when a woman is left behind with nothing, they laugh. Weeks passed, then months. Abdulrashid never returned. No calls, no money, not even one sorry. Halima sold everything she could, the mattress, the fan, her wedding jewelry. She began selling boiled ground nuts by the roadside, with a baby tied to her back and another strapped to her chest. Still, she held her head up, until one afternoon, something snapped. She had just finished arranging her small table of ground nuts when a group of women walked by. Her former co-wives, the wives of Abdulrashid's friends. They stopped, looked, laughed. "Andy born babies." One shouted, How market now? Abi na triplets again you carry for Bell? Na she be government hospital oh. Another added, she go born the whole of Kano finish. They cackled like old witches, wagging their fingers. And Halima, she said nothing, but that night, in her one-room flat, where 15 of her children slept on one mat, she wept. Not because of the hunger, not even because of the insults, but because she began to ask the question that no mother ever wants to ask. What if I fail these children? That night, Halima didn't sleep. She stayed up, thinking, praying, planning. By morning, she did something she had never done before. She strapped her babies, woke her older children, gathered them around, and for the first time she said, "Your father is not coming back, but I am your mother, and I will not let you suffer. From today, we rise." She began waking up at 4 o'clock a.m. She started selling fried masa by the main road, hot, fluffy, with peppered suya sauce. People started lining up before dawn. She added zobo, then akara, then pap. Her eldest sons helped with deliveries. The girls washed plates. Everyone had a role. It became a business. One afternoon, a local TV station stopped by. They saw her frying masa with her children helping her in their numbers, and a baby on her back and asked, "How many children do you have?" Halima wiped sweat from her brow, smiled and said, 55. The clip went viral. Everyone laughed, cried, and asked, how can one woman birth 55 children and still survive? Donations began to pour in. Halima used the money to rent a bigger space. She enrolled all her children in school, opened a small restaurant and named it Mama Africa. Gentle listener, sometimes the same society that mocks you can turn around and clap for you. But the real ones, they clap when nobody's looking. That month, something happened that shook the whole of Kano. A woman, an NGO founder from Lagos, had seen the viral video. She flew in, no security, no entourage, just one question. Where is that woman who gave birth to 55 children and still has a resilient smile? They pointed her to a busy corner, where Halima's restaurant now stood like a beacon of hope. The air smelt of fried dough, love, and survival. The woman walked up to Halima, stretched her hand, and said, "My name is Mrs. Chinelo Ifeanyi. I run a foundation for single mothers. I want to help you." Help? Halima had heard that word before, from empty promisers. So, she simply smiled and said, "Thank you, Ma, but I am not a beggar. I am a survivor." But Chinelo was different. She sat down, ate the masa and her special cuisine, met the children, asked for their names, ages, dreams. She was there from morning till sunset, and before she left, she made a quiet promise. Your children will not suffer. Not again. Within weeks, Halima's children were placed in the best schools in Kano. Uniforms, books, health insurance, all paid. One of her sons, Azim, was discovered to be a math genius. Another, Jamila, won a poetry contest and went viral on TikTok. People began calling Halima Mama Africa, but not in mockery, in admiration. Ah, dear listener, life ends. When the table turns, some people suddenly remember where they left their spoon. 6 months after Halima's story went viral, guess who came crawling back? Yes, Abdul Rashid. His second wife had left him. They said she couldn't handle the hardship. His business collapsed, too many debts. And now, the man who once said Halima was too much, was standing outside her new shop, sweating in shame. He had no cap, no confidence, just an old plastic bag of his clothes and his fake humility. Halima, my wife, you know, say I be human, I make mistake, but now you I love, I want come back. She looked at him, her face blank, then she laughed. Not the kind of laugh that comes from joy. No, it was the laugh of a woman who had seen fire and survived it. A laugh soaked in pain, wisdom, and unspoken words. She walked closer, leaned in, and said, "You can't come back to what you abandoned. I am not the same woman you left. These children, we will raise them. But me, I don't go back to vomit." He opened his mouth, then closed it, and walked away. This time for good. Dearest gentle listener, years passed. The restaurant business became a full restaurant chain. Mama Africa opened in Abuja, then Jos, then Lagos. But the real legacy? Her children. Some are nurses. One is a robotics engineer. 2 became teachers. One started her own daycare and named it Mama Halima Karche. At every award ceremony, Halima always says the same thing. Don't pity me, respect me. And people do, because the woman who was once laughed at for birthing 55 children is now a symbol of resilience across Nigeria. But she always ends her speech with this: no girl should be forced into marriage at 12. No woman should carry a family alone. But if life forces you back to the wall, don't break, bend, stretch, rise. And that, dear listener, is how a woman who was discarded like an old wrapper became a national treasure. Do you know what they now say in Kano? If you want to see what grace looks like in flesh, go to Mama Africa's street. The street where people once gossiped about a young girl with too many children now bears a new name: Halima's Way. The governor himself came to unveil the signpost. Halima, dressed in a soft peach lace gown, and Jill stood quietly, tears lining her face. Not tears of pain this time. No, my dear listener, tears of full circle victory. Her children surrounded her like a human wall of legacy. The ones who were once mocked as too many were now just enough to build her a new house, enough to care for her as she grew older, enough to make her feel chosen, not cursed. But in a quiet moment, after one ceremony, a small girl, no more than 12, walked up to her and said, "Mama Halima, they want to marry me off. I'm scared." Halima bent down, looked the girl in the eyes, and replied, "Not on my watch." Because now, she wasn't just a mother of 55, she was a protector of thousands. And her story? It lived in hearts, in classrooms, in courtrooms, in every single girl who dared to dream of something more. So, dear gentle listener, as you sit, wherever you are, hearing the echoes of Halima's life, remember this: being too fertile didn't break her, it built her. Being abandoned didn't end her, it pushed her. And life, it didn't pity her, it crowned her. She was married at 12. She gave birth to 55 children. And if you still doubt the power of one woman's strength, look again. She didn't just birth children, she birthed change. Don't underestimate the power of a woman, especially a woman with a reason to rise. And never forget, the same society that points fingers today might salute tomorrow.